As the morning sky starts to glow, the majestic kanuku resounds in a harmony of melody. The songs of hundreds of species of all engage in a tribute to another day in freedom of Guyana's Blue Mountains, giving testimony to its nickname, Mountains of Life. With this I unfold nature's spectacular and crafted piece, our very own, the Kanuku Mountains. Upper Essequibo, a tropical country sitting on the northern coast of South America within the highly forested Guyana Shield. It stretches for approximately 100 meters east to west and about 50 kilometers north to south. The name Kanuku means rich forest in the Wapishiana language. The eastern Kanuku Mountains and the western Kanuku Mountains are separated by the Rupununi River. The lowland forest sustains 60% of all unknown bird species, 150 mammal species, or 80% of all mammals found in Guyana, inhabits the Kanuku Mountains. The area around the Kanuku Mountains is populated mainly by the indigenous Makushi and Wapishiana people who live in 21 communities. The area is largely composed of gallery, lowland, and mountain deciduous and evergreen tropical forests, with 1% comprising the surrounding Rupununi savannas. These mountains' highest peak reaches up to 1,067 meters above sea level, with a number of minor peaks in its western range above 900 meters. The surrounding Rupununi savanna lie between 120 to 150 meters above sea level and are ecologically connected to Brazil's Rio Branco savanna system. The region experiences two rainy seasons, one long season from May to August and one short in December, and a long dry season from September to April, with an average annual rainfall of 1,500 to 2,000 millimeters. The area is drained by the Tukutu River in the west and by the Rupununi River to the east. The Rupununi flows into the Essequibo, Guyana's largest river. The Kanuku Mountains protect area comprised of approximately 99% of forest, which is approximately 4% of Guyana's total forested area, storing approximately 151 to 242 million tons of carbon and 1% savanna. The major forest types occurring in the area are mixed forest with some area of swamp or marsh forest, deciduous forest, and the liana forest. The flora of Guyana Shield is rich, with approximately 8,000 documented species, 50% of which are considered endemic to the region. The Kanuku Mountains comprise of metamorphic rocks with mixed igneous rocks and dendritic intrusive rocks in the south. Weather is affected by the migration patterns of the intertropical convergence zone. There are two main rainfall zones. Firstly, the northern coastal area subzone moderated by maritime influences and the two seasonal rainfall peaks. And secondly, the more continental subzone of the Rupununi savannas in the southwest, with its one wet season, that is from May to August, and one dry season from September to April. The Kanuku Range is located in the Rupununi, an important area for climate change, mitigation, and the regulation of hydrological processes. The Kanuku Mountain Range experiences extreme seasonal changes between wet and dry seasons. The typical wet season is from May through August. There is also a short period of rain known as the cashew rain, which falls around the Christmas season. But these rains are usually much lighter and are often just a welcome of a day's relief of heat. Annual rainfall in the Kanuku area is about 70 inches per year, although most of this occurs during the wet season, with peak months being June and July, when it can rain more than 15 inches a month. Recently, the area had a prolonged dry spell, which resulted in the nearby creeks and streams drying up for longer than usual. The drought caused many losses. This is according to climate models produced by Conservation International, show that the region will be getting hotter and drier in the coming years, meaning that these conditions may soon become a norm. And this is according to R. Edwards, 2016. Deep within the dense forests of Guyana lies a precious protected area called the Kanuku Mountains. which possess many characteristics. Lying in the heart of Guyana, the Kanuku Mountains are admired for their vast stretches of unspoiled forest filled with wildlife. The winding, brownish rivers and the flowing creeks that are ever so clear, vibrant with crustaceans and the blue mist peaks that touches the sky, all make the Kanuku Mountains the rainforest wilderness that you fantasize about. The Kanuku Mountains are big, wild, and rich, and have secrets that are yet to be told, places yet to be explored, and many species that are yet to be discovered. One of the most important characteristics of the Kanuku is the Kumu waterfall. The Kumu waterfalls can be found in the Kanukus, which attracts numerous tourists. Prehistoric geologic forces combined with millions of years of wind, weather, and water sculpt the breathtaking landscape that you see today, creating ideal conditions for thousands of species that call this region home. The people of the Kanuku Mountains have served as a steward of this special place about some 10,000 years ago. 21 indigenous Makushi and Wapishiana communities reside around the edges of the Kanukus, forming the Kanuku Mountain Community Representation Group, or we can simply say KMCRG. The Kanukus offer visitors opportunities to board watch, hike, sport wildlife, canoe, kayak, fish, harp, and more. These communities interact with and use the resources of the mountains to sustain their mainly subsistence lifestyle, and meditated by traditional belief and management practices for millennia. However, as human populations access the market increase, there is a corresponding increase in harvest of natural resources. Approximately 20 to 55% also reported that wild meat and wild caught fish are their primary source of protein, respectively. And this is according to Loser et al. 2012. More recently, a 2016 survey showed that all 21 communities have at least some residents that hunt within the KMPA. Another important characteristic of the community or the mountainous area of Kanuku are the soil type. The soils that are found in the mountains belong to almost all soil types known on Earth. The distribution of mountain soils is subjected mainly to a vertical elevation zonation, and the soils change with ascent into mountains depending on changes in climatic conditions. The mountains and plateau soils are found in the Kanuku mountain areas and comprise of deep and shallow soils. The deeper units derive from alkalinic, igneous rocks and are well-drained clay looms and of variable fertility. The foothills of the Kanuku mountains comprise of Kamba soil type. Other units are typically coliform, that is gravely soil developed from slippery slope or that accumulate at the slope base. These soils also have high erosion potential that are well drained and of variable fertility. Most soil groups in Guyana have low to high fertility, moderate to high drainage, and are subjected to erosion, especially when occurring in hilly, mountainous regions. Where deeper soil units occur on gentler slope, agriculture is possible with careful land management. Soils of the coastal plain, by comparison, are very fertile, but require high level of land management. The various soil types of Guyana serve as substrates for a range of vegetation type, and there appears to be strong correlation between soil properties and the distribution of vegetation. Instead of building up a thick layer of topsoil over time, the topsoil on steeper slope is eroded more quickly and new soil can form. These deposits flow down the mountain where they collect and stay in flatter, more level areas. That is why the soil on the steep parts of a mountain is thinner and less fertile. As you relax and engross yourself in the Kanuku's various plant species, one must know that the adaptation of plants can be found on the mountain top, the mountain valley, front slopes, and foot slope. Firstly, on the mountain top, it consists nearly equally of three main elements. That is, exposed granite balls sparsely covered with tough herbs and shrublets, clusia thickets 2 to 3 meters tall, and of mixed low-wet forest 5 to 10 meter tall. Some slopes on the adjacent ridges are covered with large patches of clusia at lower elevations. The open community on the exposed rock is mostly based on a small clump sedge known as the cyperachia, which eventually forms enough of a root or a soil mat for other species to inhabit. Secondly, the mountain valley. The valleys have major differences in plant communities from bottom to top. On the stream bottomlands and up at least 100 meters on adjacent slope is a distinctive low diversity mora forest of 40 to 45 meters tall. Where the creek pass over a base rock, several species of the Pendostemicia Morera fluvatalis are glued underwater to the rock in the rapids. Boulder-strewn stream beds and banks all have an attractive flower called the Rulia shrub. Along the front slope, the steep slopes that rise up closest to the lowland are subjected to fire at infrequent intervals. There is a great diversity of typical successional trees such as the jacaranda, now about 10 meters tall, coming up, and occasional survivors of previous forests. On the foothill, finally, the thin soils on this rock produce a drier mixed deciduous forest. It appears to be highly unstable forest due to the considerable mortality of large trees during severe drought. The alluvial stream floodplains are heavily dominated by giant mora in the canopy and rhinorrhea, which is known as the public flora in the forest floor. There are dense thickets of mora seedlings and saplings around the base of most adults. Attention has been drawn to the kanukus by the research of Neil Rittig, who in the mid-1970s began studying the ecology and conservation status of the harpy eagle. Rittig's result indicated that the Kanuku Mountains support the world's greatest known density of harpy eagles, as well as many endangered species. Approximately 350 species, or about of all forest-based species in the country, can be found in the Kanukus. The Kanuku Mountain region revealed the presence of 150 mammal species, or about 80% of the 175 to 190 species known from the country. The eastern Kanuku, which is east of the Rupununi River, are somewhat richer in mammal species than the western portion of the range. Approximately 86 mammal species are known from the west, and 127 has been found in the east. Some of the mammals include the woolly opossum and the red-brockled deer. Birds of the western Kanuku Mountains and adjacent lowland forests and savanna include the Guianan, which is the cock of the rock, and the harpy eagle. The Kanuku Mountains are important to Guyana for a variety of reasons. These reasons included are protecting and preserving biodiversity, protection of indigenous culture and heritage, ecotourism, and reducing global warming. In 2009, the government of Guyana launched its low-carbon development strategy, which was aimed at transforming Guyana's economy for sustainable development and combating climate change. The LCDS was aimed at protecting and maintaining the forest in an effort to reduce carbon emissions that play a role in climate change. Protecting the forest through this strategy will attract payments from developed countries for the climatic conditions they provide. These payments will then be used to foster economic growth in the country. In 2011, allowance passed to set up 3 conservation areas that will be managed by the Protected Area Commission Act. One of these areas is the Kanuku Mountain Conservation Area, which lies south of the country and measures over 6,000 kilometers square. The completely forested Kanuku Mountains are approximately 11 meters high. Another is the Kanuku Mountain is the home of many indigenous tribes such as the Mukishi and Mukishiana people, who has established 21 communities through the area. It is these forests that the indigenous tribes practice and uphold their culture. The Kanuku Mountains contribute to the social and economic security of present and future generations. indigenous tribes as they interact with and use resources of the mountains to sustain their lifestyle. With the Kanuku Mountains being identified as a protected area, this assures their protection. Kanuku Mountains are home to unique and important ecosystems filled with rare species. It is one of the most ecologically diverse areas in Guyana. The area serves as a habitat for hundreds of species of flora and fauna, and it is the nation's best interest to protect this area as its unique biological diversity directly, since it impacts the country's ability to market itself as an economic tourist destination. With respect to the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals, Guyana intends to market and brand itself as an ecotourism destination. Protected areas such as the Kanuku Mountains are vital towards the country's achieving this goal. Ecotourism in the Kanuku Mountain will provide job opportunities for the indigenous people and youths of the nation.